Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, sadly, Senator Joseph Lieberman passed away, and it's so heartwarming to see the outpouring of love, the beautiful obituaries and condolences that are being offered throughout the world. And every one of them says the same thing: a man of integrity, a man of convictions, a man who served his country, a man who was beloved across party lines. And what an honor it is to see a religious Orthodox Jew who maintained his Jewish values and observance, even serving as a senator and running as a vice president. And yet he maintained his Shabbat and his kosher and all of his ritual Jewish observances in the highest seats of power. Senator Lieberman spoke at our shul a number of times, and he tells stories of having to walk back home in Washington, sometimes in the pouring rain with Secret Service men walking behind him to escort him because the vote in the House ended after Shabbat began and he couldn't be driven home. And he maintained his observance under all of these circumstances, and he was honored and respected throughout his life. And now again, the word that comes up in all of the condolences: a man of integrity, of conviction, of values, of belief. And this is what is called a Kiddush Hashem, a sanctification of God's name. When a Jew lives their life by their values, doesn't compromise, doesn't abandon, God forbid, their true values and relationship and faith in God, despite the power of their position, they bow their head with honor to God. He even wrote a book called The Gift of Rest, all about the beauty of the day of Shabbat. This is something magnificent, and that's the true legacy of a person. Yes, a person could have honor and power in this world, but what are they remembered for? He is a shining light, a shining example. This week's Torah portion begins with the commandment of the Kohen, the high priest, who would come in every day to the temple, and the first thing he did was cleaned up the ashes of the previous day's offerings on the altar, and he would take it outside of the camp. And the obvious question is this something that the high priest has to do? It seems like it's maintenance work. You know, the custodian of the temple should do that. The high priest himself has to clean up the ashes and take them out? And the answer is so powerful. The answer is that in life we do many different things. It's not what we do, it's the intentionality that we do it with, the consciousness we do it with. You could be cleaning out the garbage, so to speak, and taking out the garbage, and you may think it's such a low, mundane task, but if you do it the way the Kohen Gadol took out the ashes to prepare the temple for the new day service, it becomes a lofty spiritual act in the service of God. And then you could do the most sublime acts, but you do it with the wrong intentions, and it degrades and minimizes the value of that act. It's what's happening internally that matters, and therefore there's nothing that's undignified or unbefitting for a person to do. Every action, no matter how simple and mundane it is, if you do it with love, if you do it with dedication, with devotion for good purposes and intentions, it becomes the most noble act, the most noble service of God. There's a famous story that Joe Lieberman would tell over, that in 2000, of course, he ran with Al Gore, and it was a very close election against Bush, and they had to count the hanging chads, and finally they declared that George Bush was the winner, and he lost. And he tells the story that he came home and he was dejected, and the next morning he got up and he was having breakfast with his wife, and he looked sad. And his wife, Hadassah, who has also been to Palm Beach Synagogue many times with Joe, said to him, "Why do you look so sad? Don't feel bad. In this house, you will always be the vice president. Our greatest honor in this world is to serve. Yes, Hashem is the ruler. Hashem is the president of the universe. We are all his vice presidents, and anything we do in his service, even taking out the garbage, is a holy service of God, like the high priest on a daily basis." Have a wonderful day. May Joe Lieberman's memory be a blessing and an inspiration for all of us.